One thing a lot of people don't seem to understand is how much time content creators actually spend creating content. You don't just get on, do a few things, and you're done within an hour or two. It is 10 hours a day, just about every single day. So that being said, I am sick and tired of sitting at this setup, no matter how beautiful it is, for that much time every single day. I also enjoy traveling, and it's hard for me to get my work done while I'm out of the house, or while I'm at a buddy's, or even across the country. I can't do any of my work. So I need something compact. I need something that is powerful. I need something I can travel with. So in comes this little guy right here. This case is the Cooler Master NR200. I saw it on Amazon. It was for sale for maybe 60 bucks, and I knew I had to jump on it because the normal price was like 110. I've been looking for an ITX rig anyways, so today we are going to fill this thing up with a pretty powerful PC. So when I travel, or if I have a buddy come over, or if I need an editing rig somewhere else just to get out of this chair and get out of this setup, we easily can do that. So let's build a computer. So the specs of this computer that we're going to be using today is kind of a bunch of stuff that I've had laying around or used in different builds, or like just sitting on a shelf or whatever. I went to Micro Center a couple days ago. I picked up a power supply, a motherboard, a replacement processor for another PC, and a cooler for this one, as well as some storage. So now I have no excuse to not build it. We are going to be using a Ryzen 9 3900X, which we have to take out of another PC, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and an RTX 2070 that used to be in my streaming PC behind me, which if you saw the last video, you saw why I took that out. We replaced it. I would recommend you go give that a watch. And all of it's gonna be on the Gigabyte, I almost said Asus. I saw the word Aorus here and I was like, oh, Asus. The Gigabyte B550i Aorus Pro AX ITX motherboard. This thing's gonna be an absolute beast. It is going to be a beautiful computer for when people come over. But the first thing that we gotta do is we have to get the 3900X out of the PC that I currently use for TikTok live streaming and maybe eventually Instagram. We'll see. This PC right here is the one that I currently use for TikTok live streaming. Real JordanK on TikTok if you have it. The reason why I'm taking the processor out of here is because one, I got a 5700X at Micro Center. It has 8 cores. I was thinking about using that in the ITX build, but I realized if I'm gonna be using it as a secondary video editing station and streaming PC on the go, I would rather have the 12 cores that are currently here in that PC because it would be the only PC used in that setup. And we can have the 8-core CPU, the 5700X, we will drop into this build instead. Now, both of those CPUs are gonna be an absolute monster for what I need. And I am a little worried about the cooling. I do have the same exact cooler for the ITX build that I have here. This controls the 3900X, no issue. All 12 cores and 24 threads of it. But when it's in a smaller form factor, I'm gonna be a little cautious. So I will leave in the comments below after a few stress tests on it, or we might even include it in this video. I haven't really decided yet. It depends on how long I want this video to be. Thank you, AMD, for providing us sockets that rip out the CPU when you take off the cooler. Are any pins bent? No, we're good? Okay, we're good. Truly, I can't be the only one that has this happen almost every single time. Is AM5 like that? I've only built one AM5 PC, never taken one apart. Is AM5 the same as AM4 in that regard? Let me know. So first things first, I guess let's get the processor stuck, or unstuck from the bottom of the cooler. Holy cow. We're still good. We'll remove all the thermal paste off of this and we'll just reapply it. It's been a bit since I put that one together. I think January? Not quite a year, but obviously if we're taking off the CPU, we're gonna wanna replace the thermal paste anyways, just to make sure we got that nice fresh contact. Now the cooler here is the Deepcool AK400, I believe. Is that, I think it's the AK400. That sounds right. It is a beautiful cooler. I absolutely love this thing. And then, like I said, it has controlled the 3900X so far. I've run a few Cinebench runs with it on this PC and this other big case here in the mid-size tower. And I have never seen temperatures go above 70 degrees. It might have hit 71, 72, nothing much higher. Usually once it hits the 72, the fan kicks in more and it drops back down to high 60s, low 70s. So I'm hoping it's gonna be the same way in the little computer, but obviously only time will tell. By the way, if you watched the last video or you're watching this one, obviously you are watching this one, and you have any questions about how any of this stuff is done, or if you have any questions about how anything performs that you see in these videos, feel free to join us in the Twitch stream sometime. We do go live 5 nights a week over on twitch.tv/JordanK Games. I'd love to see you over there. We are currently pushing for Twitch partners, so I mean, you know, help us out. Now the cooler's all cleaned off, we got the CPU out, we are gonna actually put the new CPU, the 5700X, in this rig first, just so that way I can put it together and get it done with. I did say this in a previous video, this isn't a step-by-step build guide, even for the little rig. I like to make these videos more so as like a, hey, this is what I did. If you wanna look up how to build a PC, or if you have any, you know, desire to build one yourself, which I recommend you do, they're incredibly fun. I would highly recommend looking up a YouTube video that will show you step by step if you're unsure. I will be glad to answer any questions in our live streams, like I said, but just going and looking it up for yourself and following a step-by-step guide somewhere like on YouTube is gonna be a lot better. If any of you are curious about the specs of this PC here, by the way, now it has a 5700X, 32 gigabytes of RAM, which actually for some reason, because it's a mismatching set, I can't get to run at either one of their set speeds of 3200, so they're running at 3000 megahertz. They are CL16 though, and then it is a RTX 2060 KO by EVGA. This PC doesn't do any heavy gaming or anything like that. Like I said, it is a strictly for live streaming onto TikTok and soon Instagram. I want to see if I can figure that out. Eventually, when we start our podcast back up, I want to use this computer as the main rig for that. And there we go, all done. Let's put it away. Now, like I said before, I've never built an ITX rig, so this is going to be my first time as well. This is going to be used, like I've said multiple times, you're gonna get sick of me saying it. Bedroom gaming, for travel editing, just a secondary editing station. Buddies come over and want to play something, we have options. The nice thing about this board is it does have two M.2 slots. Holy crap, I've never actually held a ITX motherboard. These are the size of my hand. Wow. As I was saying though, this does have two M.2 slots, which is a huge plus. I actually have a Samsung 980 Pro, is it 980 or 970? Samsung 970 EVO M.2 drive that I'm gonna be using as my boot drive. I know it's not PCI Gen 4, but for a boot drive, not really necessary. And then for video footage and editing, as you know, the main editing drive and the game drive and all that stuff, Micro Center did have this 4 terabyte Crucial P3 drive for $200, so I picked that up. 4 terabytes of M.2 storage for video editing and games is more than enough, even for 4K footage. Usually my videos, I mean, it depends on if it's a gaming video or a video like this. My last video, for instance, with putting the 4070 in the streaming rig, that was like 16 gigs total. We will be able to fit plenty of videos on this and plenty of games on this, like Starfield. I'm excited. Like I said, I've never put one of these together. I guess first things first, let's get the 3900X off of my desk, because I would like to just, you know, I always gotta check the pins. I would like to have it in there, so just there's no risk of having any of the pins bend. We'll drop that in. We'll lower the retention arm. That's done. For RAM, I got this kit of G.Skill Ripjaw. Holy cow, it's a 32 gigabyte kit at 3200 megahertz, and I believe it's cast latency 16. Oh, there we go. So 3200 megahertz, CL16. I was going to go with 16 gigabytes, but I figured for a editing rig, RAM is kind of nice. My streaming and gaming PC both currently have 32 gigs of RAM, and I consistently get around 20 to 24 gigabytes used. So obviously going with a 16 gigabyte kit wouldn't have really been a good option for me. But now that we got this in, I think it's time to put the drives on, or the drives in. There should be two M.2 slots. I'm guessing one of them is here. What are these screws for? Those are long screws. Wow. Okay. Kind of just going into this blind, I have no idea, you know, what comes off with what. So it has a heat sink for the heat sink? If it has a heat sink for the M.2, why does it have this block of metal for it as well? It is quite literally a heatsink for the heatsink. So if we have that one there, where's the secondary? Oh, it's on the back. So I'm gonna go with the 4 terabyte drive here, since all the big data transfers are going to be on this drive. Okay, both drives are installed, which means now we can throw on the cooler. So I am going air cooling with this, mostly due to the fact that I don't want anything like to have the possibility to fail. I would rather have the reliability. And with air cooling, it's just more reliable. You don't have to worry about a pump going bad, and having, since this is such a small form factor rig, I don't want to have to take anything apart. I want it to work. I want it to be consistent. I want it to be reliable. So I went air cooling. I did look this up with the guy at Micro Center, and this cooler is supposed to fit in this case. If it does not, then I will use the CPU cooler that actually came with the 3900X back when I bought it. Take off the pre-applied crap. I have my own. If you don't have any replacement thermal paste, the pre-applied stuff will work. I do prefer using my own. This is definitely one of those do as I say, not as I do. I like to go through these builds without using any sort of manual. That being said, it's not necessarily the best idea. So we'll just take that and toss it. So I believe we are going to take these little things right here, because this looks right. I might be wrong. We will put them on the screw holes here. We will take this, drop it down on top, and we will tighten it down just like so. Now, the only reason why I'm even guessing that it's these orange ones is because Ryzen is orange, and I'm hoping that they color coded it. I really have no other reason to believe that that's it other than that. Now that we got that nice and tight, let's put some thermal paste on here. We'll apply the cooler and hope that it fits in this case. Tiny case, decently sized cooler, but according to the spec sheet, it should fit. So we're gonna use it, we're gonna trust it, and if it doesn't work, like I said, I do have a backup. Put our thermal paste on there, about the size of a pea. That's a really big pea. Like, huge. Right, ladies? We will go ahead and tighten this down. When applying these coolers, it is better to go, back and forth and alternate, so that way you get even spread of the thermal paste down there. If you just tighten one side, then it's gonna squish all of it over to the other side, and you won't get the proper coverage on the CPU itself. I did notice that it came with 2 extra brackets as well, the cooler. So if I wanted to put a second fan on here, I could. I do have some extra fans, but I don't know if I necessarily need to put a second fan on this cooler. Man, that just looks weird. And when I say weird, I mean it's comical how tiny this thing is. That's what she said. Okay, this honestly, that's pretty funny. That GPU is huge on there. What if the GPU doesn't fit in the case? That'd be kind of depressing. Now, I always recommend that you test the computer outside of the case, but you know what? Let's just go for it. If it doesn't work after I wire everything up, that's gonna be very depressing, but risk it for the biscuit. In this case, the biscuit is just me saving a few minutes on time. So the front comes off first. Panel 1. Panel 2. So it does come with a spot to mount hard drives. I am not using any. So if I can take this out, which I believe I can, perfect, just like that. I'm not gonna need that. I could put an extra 2 terabyte drive in there. There's no point, because we have 5 terabytes of M.2 storage. So this is just the skeleton of the case here. I suppose let's just go ahead and we'll start mounting the motherboard, see if that fits. And that way we kind of know what we can work with later. I would rather get that in right away. So that way, coming down the line, if I need to make any changes, or I know where cables have to be run or anything like that, it's just gonna make my life so much easier. I believe that might be coming back to haunt me later. We'll see. We'll open the accessory box here, because it does come with a fan. Look at that. Not expecting a fan in the box. And this looks like it is a fan, 3 fans to 1. Ooh, a bunch of screws like you would find in a case. It just fell. What is this? Where did this come from? What are you? You don't go there. I don't know. Does come with a fan grill, which is kind of nice. Wish motherboard manufacturers or case manufacturers would start separating screws, so that way you can just grab what you need instead of having to get a container to dump them out into. A container, just like this whole thing of G Fuel. The lid is perfect. By the way, if you guys want G Fuel for yourself, use code JordanK at checkout, get 20% off your order. You get a nice little container for screws and energy, but screws. So I know standard ATX boards, it needs 9 screws. Is this just 4 then? This is just 4. Okay. There is a pre-installed fan in here. Got to kind of maneuver it a little differently to get it to fit there. So I'm going to screw that down, and oh no, this cooler might not fit. I am having serious doubts about that cooler fitting in here right now. We're going to put a panel on and test fit it. I don't know if you can see it. That, oh my God. Is that touching? I either have it touching, or there's like a 0.5 millimeter of clearance between the case and the cooler. So if you're building in the NR200, the non-pro, I don't know if the Pro's bigger, Deep Cool AK400, probably the biggest you can get. Now, moment of truth for the GPU. Oh, that will fit. Oh, heck yeah. That's gonna fit super well. Perfect. I do want to put the power supply in. Anyone watching this right now is probably like, what is he doing? I am aware I'm not the brightest, but like, I've never built one of these in a case like this, so just bear with me, So in terms of cables, I am going to need PCI, CPU, and 24 pin. Don't need SATA, don't need Molex. We're not putting an actual hard drive in here, so we should be good. By the way, this hoodie's really hot, but if you guys like it, it is part of our merch. It's one of our Twitch emotes, our toxic emote. Link to the merch store will be down in the description. Feel free, pick one up, helps us out. Oh my God, the power supply is so small. If you're wondering what power supply I'm using, it is a Lee & Lee 750 watt SFX 80 plus gold. So we're gonna use this to draw air in from the outside of the case. Two advantages of that, I guess. One, it's going to actually supply more fresh air inside the case than you would expect it to. These power supplies, although they obviously need airflow, aren't gonna get as hot as like a GPU, for instance. You know, if you're able to take advantage of the fan on there and use it to supply a little bit of fresh air to the case, it won't be the freshest air, obviously, but it's better than nothing. Power supply is mounted to the bracket. Let's go ahead and we're going to actually put our cables and attach it to the power supply now because I don't want to have to try to plug them in later. Always a good practice to do. So we will set that there. We will screw the power supply back into the case just like that. We have ourselves our power supply. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna actually run the cables now. Oh, so I can't, oh, wait a minute. What if I use this though? I'm gonna unscrew that fan that came pre-installed because there is no possible way I am reaching that power connector for the CPU. Man, imagine I get this all put together and it doesn't work because I didn't test it outside first. 24 pin connector. Oh, I like this. They have the front panel connectors. They have them all in a little bracket thing. So that way you can just plug it right in. USB 3 from the front plugged in. We are good to go there. HG audio. You know, normally I never use it because HG audio sounds like crap, but on a little rig like this, might be nice just to throw in some earbuds or something, you know? I don't know. So I gotta route this like the GPU is there, right? Cable management might not be the cleanest thing in the world. I think I got it. And then we have, of course, the dreaded front panel connectors. Every PC builder's all-time least favorite thing. But with that little bracket they got, this might not actually be all that bad. I just need to figure out where they go. Figured it out. So we're gonna take that, we're gonna run it back here, drop it down here, because it is up here then. You guys see what I'm doing? Maybe not. No, it's a beautiful shot of my wrist. But they are these white connectors right here. I believe all of my front panel connectors are now plugged. We have our GPU cables, so that means this one's CPU, which I should be able to take, maybe go up, over, and around, and be able to plug in. Oh, I can't reach this. My hands are too big. Our 24 pin plugged in. CPU power is plugged in, which I should be able to route this. Hopefully press it there just to help hide it. There we go. Perfect. Look at that. So for fans, what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna be plugging in to this. That's not good. I unplugged it and plugged it back in, and I now have lights on the GPU. We have, I don't know if you can see them on camera, 2 lights. So that's good. Now, it's still not turning on. Why? Oh, that feels loose. There's our front panel connectors. I am gonna try to bridge this manually and see if it's a button issue. So it's the button. So the front panel connectors weren't hooked up. Now, will we get a post? We did it. We have a post. Look at that. I love it. So here it is, my first ever ITX build. I would say it went flawless, but a few hiccups and whatever. But it works. We got it. Getting to build with this, it was a super fun experience. I'm actually looking forward to doing it again. There's a few things I'll do differently, but for the most part, I am happy with how it turned out because of how long this video is gonna be already. I'm just gonna leave in the comments below. I'll end up pinning like temperatures, if anything overheats or anything, probably like after a week of use. But it is all working. I am super stoked. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below if you have an ITX rig, what you like about it, what your temperatures are, and just tell me what your specs are. Let's talk PC hardware, okay? I love it. Don't forget to come into the Twitch stream and we can ask any questions we want down there as well. So, or over there, links in the bio, description. Jeez. Anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.